Got to speak about SGA, the season that he had. One of 4 players to win the scoring title, MVP and Finals MVP.
You're the number one stunner. What?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Draymond Green Show with Baron Davis. What up, my dog? How you doing, bro?
What's up, big dog? Where you been? Where you at?
Man,
Where you at in the
chilling.
world?
I'm back at the crib now. I've been all over the place. I tell you what, this past weekend I was at Fanatics Fest.
Crazy.
Wow.
I
don't know how Michael pulled this stuff off that he does.
You had fun? It was cool?
It was incredible, man. And obviously I didn't even get the opportunity to take it in how a fan would receive it.
Right.
But I can imagine as a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, huh?
Wow. But yeah, bro, I'm now, back in the gym on the court. I've been lifting and stuff and, all that stuff the whole time. But back on the court, I feel good to get back out there.
Yep.
Kind of let the Knicks and Knacks heal up after our 3.5 month playoff push.
Yeah. Look, if you need a practice dummy, man, while you working yourself back, if you need somebody to score on you and just, keep you frustrated, keep you hungry.
Score on me.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, that's crazy how I really feel like I could score on you at will, huh?
Let us not forget, you threw your back out getting up off the floor. Couldn't go to the pop-out. We will not forget that moment in time.
That's because I was killing.
we will not forget that moment in time.
I was killing before it happened. Ain't that?
Let's just relax ourselves. We will not forget that moment in time.
Hey, if you need a practice dummy, man, I'm here.
I appreciate your generosity. In today's episode, we'll discuss the recent trades, share our reactions just from the season, from the finals, NBA draft, and then also with the conclusion of this season, that means I am headed into my 14th season. Crazy. Wow. Unbelievable. So we'll talk about all that stuff. But let's just get at it. KD was at Fanatics Fest, which we just spoke about, in the middle of an interview when he was traded to the Houston Rockets. And there are some conspiracy theories floating around. So I must ask you, before we get into the trade, what side of the conspiracy theory do you stand on? They said KD chose for that news to come out on Sunday because he wanted to overshadow the Thunder. I personally don't think KD is that type of guy, but that's what people tried to say.
No, I ain't rocking with that.
Me either. That's crazy.
Man, I'm not rocking with that.
I can't rock with the conspiracy theories.
A lot of times, these trades, they happen and they just happen. Like the desperation of the team to get it done, and then information travel fast in our sport, right? So KD, the player is the last person to know that they're getting traded.
Facts.
Always. So him finding out on stage and, at the festival for Fanatics, that could possibly be, real. I mean, maybe he knew, maybe he had to just maybe he knew it was coming. But at the same time, during the interview, the fan reaction, right, and the call out from the fan, that's what I liked about the content. Seeing fans and seeing how media travels so fast, now the player is really the last person to know if you're not on social media. Or like a KD, you don't feel like answering your phone for 2 days. You chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Then everybody find out, then you find out like, damn, for real?
Is it possible that we can create this situation for everyone? Like, You think about how many guys have the bad story. Harrison Barnes getting traded while on the bench. DeMarcus Cousins getting traded. Finding out he's traded in the middle of an interview after the All-Star game. Do you think that this is a way the NBA, like, should this be a requirement for the NBA, just like for guys not to look stupid? Because
Yeah.
as happy as KD was, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
for most, to your point, for most guys, they could find that out sitting on that stage and they don't know.
Right. I think I mean I'm kind of like yes and no because part of working for a team or part of being on team management is, what if you just want to trade somebody just because you think it's a good deal? Now you got I mean, if you said the first person, I think the first person that should be told is the actual player.
That's
Not
what
the
I'm
media.
saying.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that.
because I think for most players, right? Like, of course, you're not going to be in the driver's seat like Kevin Durant was, but there should be some type of system, some type of fine system. Like, yo, just get out before these players and this players' camp is alerted. Like, that's an issue. You know what I'm
But
saying?
but
Like,
but it, yeah, go ahead.
I think there should be ultimately some type of guideline to be upheld. That because it can be a great thing, right? But at the same time, like just finding out wherever your feet stand, like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's hella great, right? Because think about it, like the media is always gonna find out before you that you got traded, because they the one doing all the digging, right? So soon
Yeah,
as the trade happened, one side or the other side, I mean, obviously they should contact the player, but the player's still gonna feel like he didn't know,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
I remember getting traded from the Clippers to Cleveland. And Vinny Del Negro sat down and was like, "Oh man, we like we like what we like. We're gonna sit you down. Don't even worry about playing. Don't worry about playing New Orleans. I'm in the locker room." And the media lady came up to me. She was like, "You're getting traded, right?" I was like, "Hell no, for real." I was like, "Hell no, for real." Hey, bro, it was shocking. I was shocked, right? I was shocked.
so how did you react to that though?
Like I still firm. I still firm. But by the time the game was over, by the time I got to the bus, they was like, "Well, the train ain't happening. It ain't happened yet." I gotta say, I got family in New Orleans. Say bye to my family. Get on the bus, and then now my teammates finding out. Right? It
Yeah,
looked like
yeah.
then we get on the plane and it happened. So I gotta fly back home with the Clippers with Vinny Del Negro, all the players on the team. So I decided that, I've been quiet over here for 2.5 years. I ain't really said nothing. I ain't really said nothing to nobody. I've been, keeping it low key. So I just went up to each person and just kind of told them how I felt about them and how I'm going to continue to feel about them. Some of it was love. Some of it was just like, critique. But it was more so like I wasn't really tripping. By the time I got off the plane, I wasn't really tripping anyway. Right. I was like, it is what it is. But it was important for me to kind of like get that angst off my chest because I was, you dealing with some, when you're not winning, you dealing with some busters. And at a certain point of the league was shifting to like where it is now. So there was going to be a conflict between what's old and what's new. Did they work hard for it? Are they entitled? Like we have to do all this. They not doing nothing. And
Mhm.
then to your point, like the media knowing management, not really. I got beef with management, so it can happen at any time. They did approach me and ask me for a buyout, which I probably should have took. Uh, considering the circumstances. If I look back, it wasn't as bad a deal as I thought it would be to like get up out of there. But Yeah, I just let everybody know how I feel. Sat down with everybody. Sat down with the young dudes, like DJ. Told them like, yo, bro, like you could really do something. Like don't get caught up in all the shit that you saw me caught up in. Just hoop. It's gonna be different for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Question: after this happened, and you could have taken the buyout, but you didn't. Your next deal, what was your next deal you signed after this contract that you were currently thinking about taking the buyout on? What was the next deal you signed?
I think it was like this was like my I was already like 2 years into my last deal. So my
Okay.
next deal was like a 2-year deal because I was hurt.
The
And then
two
that's
year,
when I
how
got hurt.
Like,
Shit,
was it more than minimum? I don't need the exact number, but
I
was it
think it
more
was
than
like
minimum?
around the minimum.
Okay, because the question I had was, I feel like when you do take buyouts in this league, where you say it may have been a great situation, but I feel like when you do take buyouts in this league, it's almost hard to get off the minimum from that point moving forward.
Yeah, I think, well, I would have probably not been hurt. Went to
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, right? Got a chance
Mm-hmm.
to get back with Jay Rich and Stack in the East Coast. So I
Yeah.
wasn't worried about the minimum, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because I was still one of the illest,
Uh-huh.
but it was just I was playing for the Clippers.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
it was hard. It was hard to wake up every day and you got to deal with so much drama before you can
Mhm.
actually play basketball. You got to do all this talking before you can shoot a basketball. You got to do all this scouting and all this shit. And it's like, man, can we just play 5-on-5 one day and everybody shut the fuck up? Like that's how we get better, right? But it was just like where it just wore on me. It just wore on me. So, but I was still good, and I was still, I can get whatever numbers at that point. I can get whatever numbers I wanted, depending
Okay.
on how the flow of the game or what my perspective on the game. So leaving, I probably would have had a better opportunity to like I was not hurt to pick up and then take off again somewhere
Uh,
else, right?
okay. But speaking of the trade, buyout markets, all that. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns has agreed on a blockbuster trade, sending 15-time NBA All-Star, two-time Final MVP Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's NBA draft, and 5 second-round picks. So just taking that into account, obviously the deal is done now. What's your take on these new look Rockets? Add KD in,
Man, that
lose
was gonna
Dillon
be
Brooks,
my
lose Jalen Green.
that was gonna be my question to you. I've been saying that KD is an upgrade. When you think about what the Rockets needed, they need efficient scoring. And
Mhm.
what KD brings in presence, his offensive awareness, his defensive awareness, his overall, I'm aiming to win a championship. I think it's a fair trade, right? Um, I wanted to know how you felt because I was analyzing y'all game and y'all series as the reason why this trade happened. Because when you look at a Jalen Green and you look at Dillon Brooks and you say, when they played well, did the Rockets win?
More than likely, they were number
Yeah, more
two
than
seed,
yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm
So I'm
saying
sure
no
they were.
in that series against Golden State,
Oh,
right?
in
When
that series,
Jalen Green had one great game, right? They
yeah,
won. Dillon Brooks, let's say he was as consistent. He was consistent, right? He
yeah,
didn't like he had a consistent series. Um, Jalen Green had an up and down series, right?
yeah,
Now you start looking at who could they rely on? Van Fleet, Sengun, and Thompson.
yeah.
And so Thompson leapfrogs
I
the
would say here's what I was saying. I know
yep,
no
go
one
ahead.
gives him credit, but also I thought Jabari Smith was really
That's what
good
I
in
was
that
saying. Yes,
series.
I thought so too.
And I thought Jabari Smith worked his way back from almost going the wrong way as the number 2 pick to like, hold on, now don't like I can compete at this level. And I think he worked his way back and will probably be in the starting lineup of this Rockets team moving forward. And I think well deserved. So, when I look at it and, you mentioned those two guys, listen, anytime you can add a Kevin Durant, it's an upgrade. I don't care who you are as a team. Any team in the world in basketball, if you add Kevin Durant, it's an upgrade. Now you start speaking on like if you add Kevin Durant for Steph Curry. Now those are different conversations, but if you're just in this case, or in most cases, you add Kevin Durant to the roster, it's going to be an upgrade. So make no mistake about it. Everybody trying to make like these conversation pieces. It's KD.
Yeah.
You add him to the roster, your roster is better.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to discuss the business of basketball, then you have a different discussion when you start talking about salary and what happens with caps and all. That's a totally different question, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is you add KD to that team, is that team better? And where they struggled was, Jalen had a very tough playoff series. You'd like to think if he had a better playoff series, they win. Who knows? But you'd like to at least think that. Dillon Brooks was, like you said, he was consistent all year. He played well. He shot the ball really well this year. Dillon Brooks is who he is. On a contract like Dillon Brooks on, you will always kind of be the throw-in piece to make numbers
absolutely.
work.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the nature of the business. I don't think Dillon Brooks was traded because Dillon Brooks did anything wrong. In this situation, I think Dillon Brooks was traded because, quite honestly, that's how this business works, and your contract make the money work. They want Kevin Durant, your contract make the money work. And, when you look at the way this team has been built, of course they're going to throw Dillon Brooks in to make that money work before they throw Jabari Smith in. Or before they throw Tyrese, like these young guys that were drafted by this general manager. Now, Jalen Green was as well. He ain't going to just get rid of all the people he drafted. He got rid of one. And so I think when I look at this, it's an upgrade. KD has his familiarity with Ime Udoka as a coach. I think KD still wants to compete at a high level. And I think this team, like when you look at the rosters of everywhere we heard KD may go, this team did the least gutting of a roster that a team may have had to do
to make an upgrade.
To still make an upgrade and still keep the roster in a good spot. So that's what I think happens for the Rockets. That's the way I think it looks for them. For KD, talk about Phoenix on the other hand, I think it's a little different situation. But for the Rockets, I think it's good. Also, shout out to Freddie V. Got a new 2-year,
shout out to Fred.
Deal to stay with the Rockets. Well deserved, man. The way I saw him lead that team in the playoffs, and they're going to need his leadership.
He proved it.
They're going to need his leadership with that team. I think with Fred's demeanor and how Fred go about things, and with KD and how KD go about things, I think it'll be a good match.
Yeah, some of
the stuff that K don't want to do, and people try to make it like an indictment on K's character. No, there's just some stuff that we're all human beings, and we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and certain things that KD don't like to do, Fred will do that. And guess what? On a basketball team in team sports, that's actually how it's supposed to work. So, I think this puts them in a really good position. I think they're obviously going to be a team to be reckoned with. You expect Sengun to make a big jump after the playoffs he had. You expect Tyrese and all those guys to make jumps. So it'll be interesting. I think that team is in a really good position, and I definitely think it's an upgrade.
Shout out to our boy Fran Van Fleek again. I mean, I totally agree.
The NBA Finals are here, and every play could be the one that changes everything. This is the NBA playoffs, where heroes rise, legacies are built, and the action never lets up. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, you don't just watch the madness, you live it. Back your favorite team. Ride with your clutch time killer. Bet on the buzzer beaters, the breakout performances, the game-winning threes. From player props to same-game parlays, this is how you take your fandom to the next level. If you're new to the game, no sweat. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll score $300 in bonus bets. It's that easy. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code BARON. That's code BARON for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. When you bet just $5, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Well, let's talk about the Suns. The Suns get Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick of this year's draft, correct?
Yeah.
And so you think about, where are the Suns going? What are they looking for? Obviously they have three dynamic guards, Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. And now that team will adopt Dillon Brooks' personality, right? What are your thoughts?
Which I think can help that team, by the way.
Yeah. So talk to me about
personality
Phoenix.
can help that team.
Yeah.
When I look at this Phoenix team, I don't think they're done. I think you can still expect to see them be aggressive in whatever ways that they can. If I had to guess, just having to look at the roster. But I think getting the 10th pick back is a good start. I think this draft, you can get some good value at the 10th pick, some really good value at the 10th pick. So I think that's a start. You get Dillon Brooks, whether they keep Jalen Green or whether he's an asset that you can move somewhere else. I think this is a start to what seems like, I know Matt Ishbia. Matt Ishbia's a spark dog. I can't ever foresee Matt just throwing the towel. But what seems like a little bit of I won't say rebuild, but definitely a reset. I think this is the start of that, but I think I still expect to see them probably with some more movement somewhere because right now the roster, it's a lot of shooting guards. So
it's a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot of guards on the roster. There's a lot of guards in this draft. Looking at the 10th pick, and thinking about a lot of teams' needs. Just watching OKC, there can be some more movement, I think, from Phoenix coming along. But a Jalen Green, Devin Booker dynamic is exciting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they can figure out what they want to do with Bradley Beal, that's going to be, like we all expected before, that's going to be the key to whatever Phoenix, however they move forward or, stay the same. But, they have some opportunities. I think the draft could be something special for them if they can get one of them versatile scoring forwards, young forwards to, not necessarily replace KD, but be someone that the fans are excited about seeing, somebody young and exciting the fans want to see. But moving on, reaction to Jrue Holiday, man, getting traded to the Blazers for Anthony Simons and second-round picks. What's your thought on that?
I think it's just funny to see Jrue traded back to the Blazers after the Celtics got him from the Blazers in order to help them win the championship. But in saying that, they say Jrue don't want to be there. I think that was the case the first time he was traded there as well. But, contract situation is different. I think he 3 years left on the deal, so it's kind of not up to you at this point. But we'll see what happens. But, you signed the contract is what it is. So, the Blazers are going to do what's best for them. And they've made that very clear. the best player in Blazer history wanted to be traded to certain places, and he wasn't traded to those places that he wanted to be traded to. So they've shown that as a franchise, they're going to do what's best for the Blazers.
Mm-hmm.
And, so
And it's
I
a good
think stay
pickup.
tuned to see how I play out. But I think Jrue can also, if he stay there, I think, he can be a great asset for Chance, bridging that gap between Chance and, these young guys and kind of being that coach on the floor, that veteran leader who still got game. So, I think still got a way to see how it play out. But, this is a team that is young and definitely rebuilt. So be that it's draft night, I think that may still shake some.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that still shaking up, but the Anthony Simons with Boston, for Jrue, I can understand why Boston is doing this. We can understand how he can fit in because Boston doesn't really. They need scoring. They need more scoring guards now because of one. I would say Jason Tatum going down. Looking for scoring is their dynamic. Shooting threes is their dynamic. You got another dude that can really get hot, stretch the floor, catch fire. I think it works in their system. But for Jrue, I think it's great for Portland and it's great for Jrue. You get to mentor, you get to hoop. You're gonna be in at the end of the games. You don't have to worry about, you're gonna be the closer, right? And part of that closing team for the Blazers, and you get to bring Scoop along. And I like what Portland had last year. If as we get closer to see what they do, I'm gonna probably call Portland as my sleeper team. Last year or this year, my sleeper team was Houston. At the beginning of the year, you see what they did. So, Portland, I've been looking at, analyzing. If they make a couple more moves and put a few pieces together, I look at Portland as a team that can make that jump because their young dudes are talented and play hard.
All right. Well, we're going to see as the team shape out. Free agency ain't even started.
Right.
Relax.
That's what I'm saying.
This man.
That's
Free
what I'm
agency
saying.
has not started, and this man giving a sleeper team. This is ridiculous.
I'm
What are
just
we
on
doing
it.
here?
I'm on it. I be doing my scout, man. I got a scout. Play GM. I play GM at home.
Free agency ain't started. The draft is just starting, and this man is talking about who he got as a sleeper. And listen, the Celtics also traded Kristaps Porzingis to the Hawks. The Celtics, listen, this is all about the second apron. People said they didn't want super teams anymore. Well, here you have it. All these moves are being made to dodge that second apron. For those out there that don't know what the second apron is, in layman's term for you, it's a hard cap. It is a hard cap that no owner is dealing with because the penalties are crazy. You lose draft picks, you lose the mid-level exception, you lose roster spots, you lose the ability to get better and compete as a team, and the amount of money that you lose is insanity. And so the Boston Celtics would have had a salary cap with luxury tax bill of $540 million. It is now at 280 because they got rid of those contracts. So for those that don't understand what the second apron is, as basic as I can put it for you, it is a hard cap. And when I said this before the deal was signed, that this is ridiculous and it's going to hurt players in the end. No one wanted to listen, and everybody wanted to act like the PA was making a great deal. The PA made a shit deal, as the PA has done for years now. And every year, the pot gets bigger and the business gets better and the players get screwed more. That's just how this business works. And so, in saying that, back to the Boston Celtics, that's what all of these moves are about, people. That's why they got rid of Porzingis. That's why they got rid of Jrue Holiday. That's why you're hearing so many people call on Jalen Brown. You're hearing so many people call on Derek White. It's because they know they want to get away from that second apron tax. And Jason Tatum being out, things are up in the air. You trade for Anthony Simons. I think, listen, they're the Boston Celtics. They got to be competitive, but at the end of the day, it's an expiring deal. Cap situation, all of those
They
things.
can recalibrate. Yeah.
And you got Jason Tatum hurt. right? So if I had to guess, Jalen Brown, if he have any nicks and knacks this year, probably won't be in the lineup because you're going to recalibrate. You're going to let your books settle. And then next year with Jason Tatum coming back, then you try to retool and start going for it again. And that's just how these things work. You'll see this all over the NBA for years to come because that's just the way this CBA works. And so you'll see this happen over and over again.
Yeah,
That's my spiel. That's the
yeah,
second apron.
I mean,
That's the Boston Celtics.
yeah,
That's that, guys.
we asked for no more super teams, so we definitely gonna get no more super teams, but we're also gonna get teams that rise in the draft, do great things in free agency, and it's gonna be more broken up teams than the teams that you grow up on being like, yo, this team has been together for 5 years. That's gonna be hard to do, especially, having young players becoming great and getting better with that cap. The New Orleans Pelicans are traded CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40 overall pick in the second round of the NBA draft. What does this trade mean for both teams? Draymond, what does it mean for the Pelicans?
What this means for the Pelicans is that Joe D's coming in. He's making some changes. He wanted to see, acquire some young talent in Jordan Poole to see if he can still make it work with next to the Zions, Trey, Herb Jones, see if you can put it together with these young guys. I think so when I look at this move, you got DeJounte will be coming off an Achilles injury. When I look at this Pelican move, I like it. I think when you add a talent like Jordan Poole, CJ is kind of who CJ is. Jordan still has room for growth. I don't think we've seen the best of his growth yet. And I think getting in a organization like New Orleans under Joe Dumars' leadership, with Willie Green as the coach, I think will be a really good situation for him. I think Washington, the first year he spent in Justin. Last year he had a really good year numbers wise, but when you're on that team, it don't matter. And so I think, when I look at this for the Pelicans, I look at this as a net positive. You didn't have to go crazy from a salary cap standpoint. I think Jordan may make a little less than CJ or right around the same amount, but yeah, I think you still got time for him to prove himself. A couple more years left on his deal, 2 or 3 more years left on his deal. I think he still got time to prove himself and with some young guys who also looking to take that next step. And so I think they become a team that you got to watch out for in the West.
Right.
They got a lot of talent. They can put it together, they're going to creep up and can possibly have a good year. So that's what I think this move means for the Pelicans.
The Wizards. Go ahead.
What you got for the Wizards? When I look at that trade for the Wizards, I
actually like it for the Wizards. Why? Because I think CJ McCollum is what the Wizards need. You need some veteran leadership. You need someone who can play basketball. You need someone that can talk to your young guys and get them in positions to play NBA basketball. You got Olynyk there who's like a bridge player, somebody who can come in, learn the system, be a vet. So you really trade in, young energy from Poole, who is a dynamic scorer, but you bet on Poole to be, your next all-star, superstar player and leader. I think you're going to get the leadership in McCollum. You're going to get more consistency out of what do you have. Now, I don't know how many years McCollum got on his contract, but I just like that. I like this trade in favor of CJ. And then I also think for Washington, it's a good move to start cement your organization with some veterans around, especially the young guys you have, because they're going to take some time to develop. Or if they develop properly, they could skyrocket over half a season. with their
No
talent.
doubt. No doubt. I think what we're starting to see more is teams went so far left with the youth movement that they're realizing that no, you can go young, but you got to have some veteran leadership in there, or it's the blind leading the blind, and that don't
Bingo,
work.
bingo.
And so I think that's what we're starting to see. You know, when you look at this OKC team, they started with all those young guys, but throughout those years, they brought in Chris Pauls,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and different guys that has helped continue to show from a veteran leadership standpoint the way to Shea and for Shea to take the reins. So I think teams are starting to realize that. I know Will Dawkins comes out of the OKC tree. And, you know, just to watch him put those veteran leaders around those young guys, I think it makes sense. I expect CJ to go in there asking for an extension to extend that money. But I think overall, I think it's a good move for both groups.
Yeah, it's definitely a good move. The league is starting to get a little bit more balanced, and I'm excited. I think the finals created a whole new image and infrastructure of what success looked like, but also the playoffs too.
1,000%. So, speaking of the playoffs, we got to congratulate OKC winning their first NBA championship.
Yep.
I'm obviously familiar with how dynasties look. Obviously, still playing, so I'm hoping they ain't started one right now. But do you think this could be the start of a dynasty in OKC and where their team is? I think dynasties are a lot harder, but I'll get into that. Do you think this is the start of one?
I mean, we'll see. I have to go with the numbers. There's going to be a different NBA champion crowned next year. But does OKC have the best chance? Absolutely. If they keep this team intact and figure out, okay, if they can make a couple minor tweaks to upgrade what they got, then I would pick them as number one. I don't think Indiana is a fluke either. I think Indiana now has some championship pedigree or finals pedigree. They'll be back too, but the dynasty part is hard in this era. It's hard in this era because at some point, like you said, they're gonna be facing a hard cap, and they're gonna have to be highly strategic about how they shepherd in the old and the new.
I agree with you. I think, like you said, dynasties, I think it's just gonna be tough, you know, right? Like Caruso was big for this championship. Hardenstein was big. Lou Dort was big. When you start paying J Dub to max and Chet max or near max,
That's what I'm
all those
saying.
guys you start to lose. And now got older guys playing with young guys that don't look the same, you know. And
Right.
so I think they're set up for success, for sure. But is it the start of a dynasty? Those things are hard to come by. You start talking about health. Everybody got to stay healthy. You know, that drive and will, I don't doubt that that'll go anywhere. They got some young, hungry guys, but I think that can definitely play a part in it. And this CBA ain't really set up for that.
Now that the Thunder have won the title, you explained the window of opportunity for them to continue winning championships. You know, we talked a little bit about dynasty. What does that window for them look like?
I think their best chance to win another championship is next year because you'll still have Chet and J Dub making rookie money, which means you're still allowed to keep your pieces. And so their best chance to win again is the following year. Once that money kick in, everything looks different. And so when you start talking the window opportunity, look at the Houston Rockets. They won two. They haven't won one since. You know, you start talking Detroit Pistons won two, went 13 years,
Mm-hmm.
13, 14 years, won another one. 21 years, they haven't won since. Like when you get the chance to kick that window in, you got to kick it in.
You got to go
And
all
they've
in.
kicked the window in now. But your best chance is now because teams start building to beat you. Injuries happen, contracts happen. Their best opportunity to win again is next year. And I think they should understand that is, you know, that's just the way these things work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think we talked about that. You know, if they didn't win it this year, they got the next 2 to 3 years to win one. Well, they won it this year, so now they got 2 years for sure, possible 3 if we were setting books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
1,000%. That's exactly how it boils down. Like, you're gonna have to start getting rid of people. And when you start getting rid of people, like, you can pluck one person from a team and it can change the whole landscape. And so we'll see. But that's how it breaks down for them. Man, before we move on, got to speak about SGA, the season that he had. One of 4 players to win the scoring title, MVP and Finals MVP. Beautiful to see him continue to take that jump after jump after jump, and finally finishing on out. Not finishing on out because he's still got many years to go, but finish this season out. Do you think coming into next year, you start talking about, like, does this just make you the face of the NBA or doesn't? I personally don't. I don't know. I think face of the NBA just happened, and I know people keep talking about that. But when you look at the season he had, what else can one do?
You're the number one stunner. What? The number one stunner. Like, if you think about it, coming out, coming off the championship, you gonna be at Summer League. You show up to Summer League, you numero uno, baby. Start of the season, media day, numero uno. Season start, numero uno. So you can carry that
Yeah.
pedigree. And he has a great brand, right?
Yes,
He has a great brand. He speaks highly of his teammates. He's very articulate about the game and patient with reporters. So when you start thinking about, are they going to have more national games? Well, they better, because he the coldest. He the number one stunner right now.
that
So
part.
as far as face of the league, yeah, he got it for now. In order to be the face of the league and to carry that, they got to come and get him a back-to-back, right? They got to start, looking in the face of dynasties and being compared to the greats. I think, the run that he's had with MVP, scoring title, finals MVP, that's elite company. And he got the title. Now coming back, yes, he should get all the fanfare, the limelight. Now what are they gonna do with it? If he go back and win it again, oh yeah, he the face of the league. Cause you the number one stunner 2 years in a row. Right. But for right now, yeah, I would say you gotta say he's the face, because they're gonna get way more national games, and he can talk talk that talk to anybody.
Most definitely. But shoot, shout out to Shea, man. Congratulations. Job well done. It's great to see a guy put the work in and continue to climb.
Word.
Job well done. Congrats to OKC. Welcome to the table. It's an interesting fun one.
They in the room with you, Dre.
They in the room. You gotta come on in. They are in the room. Gotta love it.
But I also want to send out some love to Tyrese. You had 2 teammates tear their Achilles. How hard can a team bounce back when one of your best players get hurt?
I think it's tough, man. We obviously had Clay go down, KD went down, but he left. Same year Steph went down. Like, it's tough. You're not winning without your best player in this league. Like, you can put together a decent season, but it ain't happening. But man, I do send my love and well wishes to Tyrese, though, just on the speedy recovery. Leaving it all out there on the floor. These calf to Achilles injuries are tricky, man. I put on my Threads account as soon as it happened, like, man, that looked too familiar.
Yeah.
NBA Finals, elimination game, gotta get the cooking. KD got the cooking. Like, it just looked too
KD
familiar
was
for
cooking.
me, man. Cooking.
Oh my gosh.
And so, man, I just wish him well in a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. But I'll tell you what, it does. When you look at the Indiana Pacers about to go into the tax for the first time, it'll be interesting to see if they change their tune because you got Hallie out for a whole year now, like,
Yeah.
more than likely. So, man, you just one injury away
Man,
from everything changing, man.
totally, man. I went down. I damn near wanted to cry for my bro because, to not get a chance to finish is heartbreaking, and he deserved it. He fought to a game 7. He fought with an injury. We talked about it on this show that playing with that calf muscle was going to be risky. Remember, we talked about if he can show up and give
Absolutely.
us a Willis Reed. He did that game 6, 23
Yes, he
minutes. That was
did.
a little bit more, but coming into game 7, it's like you forget that the way you feel going into a game 7, you feel so much better.
Yeah.
But you're not
Yeah.
so much better.
You still the same.
Right? It's more damage, if anything.
Yeah. Still the same. When I say still the same, I mean you still dealing with the same
You're
thing.
still dealing with the same thing. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, like, you so hype and you feel good. Like, how many times I can remember so many times, like, man, I feel good. And then jump and land and be like, now how did this happen? Right? And you
Facts.
forget that, oh, you still injured or you still nursing an injury. So it was tough to watch that because that young man deserved to be able to finish that game and walk off that court on his own. But he will be back. I know that's right. He'll be
Most
back.
definitely. Most definitely will. Most definitely. So shout out to Tyrese, man, and the Indiana Pacers. They had a great year. Get to the NBA Finals. Sucks when you get there and lose, but they had an incredible year. So congratulations to those guys as well.
Moving on. What's up, Dub Nation? We gonna get into this Dub Nation, man. We got some questions. What needs to happen this offseason for the Warriors to be real contenders again?
I think you know, the heavy lifting's been done. Like we added Jimmy. I think that was the biggest thing that needed to happen. Now we got that. Now you can tool around that. Our team was tooled around Steph. Now you know how Jimmy looks in the system. You know how Jimmy likes to play. You can also tool around that as well. So I think, just locking in from that front, understanding what we got, where we can get better, and making those pushes. But free agency is tough, man. You trying to court people and make the best
Right.
offer, and you don't always know what it is, right? Like for some guys, it could be the highest dollar amount. For other guys, it could be totally different. So
Totally.
I think just going into it, it's just all about looking to see, like, all right, now we know how it looks. Now we got that part figured out. Now what does it look like around that? And so I think we're in a much better position heading into this one than we were last year.
Yeah, y'all got some money to play around with. Y'all got some young talent that, is not taking up a lot of the salary cap. You got to adjust Kuminga, things, free agents in this class. So y'all got some work to do, but like you said, shoring up the unks. That's what I'm gonna start calling y'all. We're gonna shore up the unks.
The unks is crazy. Also, y'all gotta stop with this unk stuff. In my hood, Unc was a crackhead in my hood. Y'all be calling people Unc.
Yeah,
A crackhead.
Yeah,
So
I don't do
y'all
it.
got
I don't do
y'all
it.
gotta chill, man. Y'all gotta chill. That'll never be okay with me. Like,
The Unks, the Bay Area Unks. That's
Hey, bro, you
sick.
letting your hair grow back in?
No, I'm about to cut it.
What's going on? You all right?
Hey, you
I
want
need to come check on
you? That hurt.
I'm just asking the question, champ. That's it. I just wanted. I
Hey,
just wonder.
Draymond, Draymond is eye for an eye. Hey man, look, I'm just trying to see what happens. See if my hair grow back. You know, I like them little curls. I like to have my hair nappy, like the little naps. I like that.
You gotta go to Turkey.
The turkey
Yeah, you gotta go to Turkey.
for what's in turkey?
They waiting for you. You gotta go to Turkey.
Moving right along. All right, if you could say one thing to Warriors fans right now, unfiltered, what would it be?
I don't really got nothing to say. What up, Dub Nation?
Just about the
I
season, like, well,
I ain't got no gripes. Oh, just about the season.
yeah,
Like,
like, oh, like,
ah,
we gonna come back better, or
well, I ain't
yeah, what
hyping no
up?
fan. I ain't hyping no Dubs fans up. They know what it is.
Because
they've
you
been
did,
around.
you did say y'all was gonna win it all,
We
and y'all
I ain't know
didn't.
I ain't know woulda, coulda, shoulda type
Yeah.
of guy, but you know. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. We're gonna leave it where it's at. It's all good. I'm gonna congratulate the Oklahoma City Thunder because I'm not one of them hating. You know, these guys out here be hating. I'm gonna leave that where it's at, and I'm gonna congratulate them guys because they are champions.
All right,
I'm gonna leave
so
that where it's at.
with that said, what has been your best moment or moments in the 2024-2025 season?
Best moment of the 2024-25 season. Man.
When you got that dunk,
Huh?
when you when you got that dunk,
What dunk?
when you went down the lane, I forget what team it was. I think you hit a three, then you went down the lane and got a dunk. He was going crazy.
Oh man, that's light work.
Shit,
That's
you barely got that motherfucker.
that's light work, man.
You
We ain't moving off no play. You know what I'm saying? No regular season plays. Now, BD,
I'm just saying.
plays gotta happen.
I be watching the game.
Plays gotta happen. Plays gotta happen in the playoffs for them
Right,
to really matter. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right, right,
When
right.
did you dunk on Karolinko?
In the playoffs,
All right, that's the only reason it
everything,
matters.
yeah, everything
It's the only
happened in the
reason it
playoffs.
matters. Yeah, it only matters. So we ain't tripping on that. You know what I'm saying? That's light work,
What
player.
what what about the night moment when you hit your first night?
That was fun. That was fun.
that,
That was
that was
fun.
that was fun. That was a good one.
That was fun.
And then
But
you
no,
met.
man, I enjoyed the season though. Like I came out of this season feeling better than I did 3 years ago. And so I think most importantly that just health, continuing to grow.
Yeah,
I think overall, net positive. Now just keep it rolling and win this championship next year, but overall net positive, man. So I'm looking forward to this next one. Obviously, getting the team right, getting the roster right, knowing what we're looking like rolling into next year. But you know, you know how I'm rolling in.
yeah, oh
Championship or
yeah.
bust, baby. You know
You
how we
know,
roll.
that's the pedigree. Y'all back
Absolutely.
to pedigree.
Absolutely. So that's how we roll. But the NBA draft is currently going on. You know, NBA draft ain't one of my fondest nights. You was the third pick, so maybe you want to like get all hype for the draft. I think that shit don't matter.
You don't.
You know,
It's all
but
about where you go, man. I always say the draft is whatever team you go to, what system, it don't matter what pick you go. You just want to go to the right situation. And we've seen
that
that
part.
countless amount of times with, players in the second round. You look at, I think, the story that's most relevant in my time was Rashard Lewis, being a first round pick and getting drafted in the second round, being upset, but wind up going to Seattle and wind up becoming a man
Yeah.
faster than he would if he would have, went to a Portland at the time or Indiana at the time. and had to sit behind some vets. So, the draft for me, it was incredible. Being the third pick, I didn't really know nothing about Charlotte. I didn't really know who was on the team until I got drafted. Yeah, I went to a good team. I went to a vet team, a playoff team, a team that was, you know, trying to make it in the playoffs in the tough Eastern Conference. And I got a chance my rookie year to sit on the bench, which I did not like as the number 3 pick because the coach told me I should be starting by midseason. But it was cool. If I would have got drafted earlier, later, who knows what kind of system. But I went to a system where I was able to grow and then ultimately become an all-star in year 3.
No doubt. No, I think, I think where you go, like you said, is far more important.
Where was
And
you
it
at on
it
draft
all
night?
works out in the end. I was in Saginaw, the Dow Event Center, baby, with a terrible suit on.
And how was it? How did it go for you? Because you were
It was
supposed to be a
bittersweet.
lottery pick, right?
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily going to be lottery, but I definitely was like projected to be top 20, top 20, top 25.
Yep.
And, to go 35th pick, it's like, dang, you see the end of that first round coming, you're like, man. So it's a great night, but it was very bittersweet for me.
Was people overreacting at the party or at your event? Were more people
Yeah,
overreacting than you, or I know you were disappointed, but like, what was the hype, and then like the
I
down
don't
part
think
that part?
anybody overreacted. I think people were all shocked. You
Mhm.
could kind of feel like the angst weighing and like, man, like when is gonna happen? But I don't think anybody overreacted. Nobody made too much of it. I probably felt the most about it. You know what I'm saying? Just because I know the work that I had put in and I knew what I had to offer. And so
Right.
going in the second round was baffling to me. But in saying that, to get your name called in the NBA
Special.
is special, in the NBA draft is special. And so I'm forever grateful for that moment. I hope these guys enjoy that night, and then understand that tomorrow, man, yeah, one guy may get an opportunity faster, but tomorrow, everybody on the equal playing field. You got to go prove that you belong in the NBA and what you can bring to a team.
No surprise, Cooper Flagg went number 1 in the 2025 NBA draft to the Dallas Mavericks. How does Cooper Flagg fit in with the Dallas Mavericks? And shout out to Kyrie signing a 3-year, $119 million contract. He probably won't play next year unless it's later in the season. But talk about Cooper Flagg to Dallas and what that looks like.
I think Cooper Flagg to Dallas. I think Cooper Flagg is lucky, man. You get a chance to go in with some great vets, some guys that it's going to take some pressure off of you. It won't just be the Cooper Flagg show, so you won't have all this pressure on you. You can kind of get in where you fit in. Yeah, you still got to go be special, but you ain't got to go average 25 points on a bad team, 20 points on a bad team. Like you get to go compete and learn from some of the best, and so I think that's great. How he fits, I think it gets interesting. We all know AD don't love playing the 5. Cooper Flag, I think, is a 4-man. I don't think he's a 3. You got Daniel Gafford, you got Derek Lively, So how does that all play out? One thing's for certain is they're going to make sure Cooper Flag fits into that. But how does that all play out in the end? I think will be interesting to watch. Um, just because at the end of the day, if Cooper Flag has to be a 4, someone shifts, someone else shifts. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But I think he goes to a great situation and also goes to a great organization. A lot of times you're the number 1 pick, you go to a shitty organization. He's going to a great organization. So I don't think he could have asked for anything better being the number 1 pick. Dillon Harper was drafted by the San Antonio Spurs with the 2nd pick. Uh,
Uh-oh.
how do you see him fitting in there, going to San Antonio? What does that look like for them now?
They got 2 big dynamic guards that can beat you off the dribble, get to the paint, can post, find ways to score. I think he is a different dynamic than Castle. He has more, I say, kind of point guard features, right? Pick and roll. Like he's really, really good in the pick and roll. But you got a left hand 6'4" big guard. You got a 6'4", 6'5" big guard. Like this big guard combination for the San Antonio Spurs is going to be dynamic. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the defense. And when you think about not only that, you got De'Aaron Fox, right, as the lead guard. Then you talking about this 3-guard dynamic with this young kid coming off the bench, playing him with Castle, playing him with De'Aaron Fox. You got a 3-guard dynamic that's going to be getting downhill and put a lot of pressure on the defense. That's a lot of fouls. That's a lot of fouls. So you better be ready to guard.
I agree. I think that type of size and length, what San Antonio is building, I think can be special. I think Dillon Harper probably walks in. I'm not sure if he's a starter from day one because you got Fox there, you got Castle. Do they ultimately start him day one or bring him off the bench? I think that'll be decided by how he look in summer league and going into camp.
Right.
But I think the future is bright for them. I think that's a great pick. So we'll see how it turns out. But overall, man, San Antonio,
they got guards.
They got Wemby.
And they got Wemby. They got guards, they got Wemby, and they got perimeter guys who hustle and can finish and make some shots. All right, Ace Bailey, he was supposed to be a top 3 pick. He wound up going 5. That's not really falling.
No,
but
not at all.
A lot of the narrative was he is the first U.S.-based player to not work out for any teams. Do you think that hurt? It's not a hurt, dropping from out the top 3 to 5. But what is your take on that?
I don't necessarily think it hurt. It didn't hurt. You went 5. Whoop-de-fucking-do. It didn't hurt that. But you're walking into the NBA with a strike.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's most important to understand. It's like you're walking in with a question mark on character. You're walking in with a question mark on work ethic. You're walking in with a question mark on your camp. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing to him and his camp would be understand where you are. Okay, it's fine. No big deal. You went 5th in the draft. As I said earlier in the show, that shit don't matter no more. It matters for his salary, and that's about it. It's now time to go play. So be the first in the gym. Don't go into the organization causing any problems. Go into the organization knowing that there's some guys that have been there before you. You can learn from them, but I ain't saying go bow down to anybody, but know that it's some guys that know more than you that you can learn from. Go in there and be a great rookie. That don't mean don't go play great. Go be a great rookie. Don't go in there thinking stuff going to be your way because you already got a strike. And this league will move on from you fast. This league has moved on from
picks.
And
more and just as talented, even more talented players. So
absolutely. So congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
I'm not gonna sit up and
let's get to work.
Damper his night, man.
Yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.
From the gutter. I love it. Let's
go.
get it. But just know what you up against and go prove everybody wrong. That's what it boils down to. That's how we rocking. Shout out to all the young fellas getting drafted. Welcome to the league. Congratulations, all your hard work has been earned. But now the real work starts. Staying in the league is even tougher. So that's how we rocking. But BD, man, it's been a great season, brother.
Amazing.
Chopping it up with you, giving these analysis, the isms. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, man.
Nah, man, I appreciate you having me. Man, it was a good season. Just how this shit happened organically, it is good to be back outside, especially back outside with my dog. Man, just keep leading. I'm here, baby. Let's keep it going.
I appreciate you. And we thank y'all, man, to the fans, the subscribers, the listeners. Incredible season. We appreciate y'all supporting the Draymond Green Show with Baron Davis. Till next time, that's a wrap. Peace.
Yeah.